This episode of Speak Now, Hold Your Peace is brought to you in part by Green Sister Botanicals, plant-based hair and body care. Visit greensister.com for your hair and body care needs. There are a lot of black men, and I know a few that go to the doctor, and their reason for going was because they didn't want to get nagged by their significant other. Got their name on the bottom. You know, it says Nelly, special co-host. Speak Now, Hold Your Peace. Same thing for David. They come on the show. They my number one hitter. Every time there's a shooting, people are saying, you know, we need more gun control.
Welcome to Speak Now, Hold Your Peace, a live broadcast with real conversations about community social issues, politics, business, health, self-care, and more. We broadcast live on the Speak Now, Hold Your Peace Facebook group and the Speak Now, Hold Your Peace YouTube channel. And now, here's your host, Say What I Feel, Dre.
Welcome to Speak Now, Hold Your Peace. I'm Say What I Feel, Dre. Today we're going to have a good show about mental health with our black women. Women in general, but you know, I really want to talk about our black women. I got 3 guests today, so I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get started. I'm going to introduce them, and then we're just going to go ahead and get started. So I got 3 ladies here. I got Raven, I got Tara, I got Nicole. They all, if they look familiar, y'all, it's because they've been on the show before. You know, I bring back my guests, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, good guest is hard to find. But Raven did it. She was on my show when we were talking about domestic violence. Tara was on my show about, what was it, Tara?
Grief and loss.
Grief and loss.
With the COVID.
Yes. And Nicole, it was about, what was it, Nicole? Mothers, strong moms, right?
Yes, for Aiden, yeah.
Yes. All right. So my memory's going. I'll be 50 this year, y'all. So my memory's a little jacked up, but you know, I'll be all right. I'm gonna be all right for 50. You know what I mean?
It's all good. It's all good.
So,
at least you don't
ladies,
look like it.
huh?
Nope.
I said, at least you don't look like it.
They're good. You know, okay. Oh, snap. I got my, yeah, like, let me stop. Oh, man. Yo, ladies, I want to talk about mental health. So what made me bring this particular topic up was I was speaking to Nicole, and, you know, we were talking about her son, Aiden. And we were talking about, you know, raising a child, with some disabilities. And, she said something about, she was like, I didn't even talk about the depression part. So I'm just like, and I didn't even think about that. It's just like, I didn't think about, you know, what she was going through, the hard times, you know, it can get hard as a mother. So, when she said she didn't even address the depression part. So I figured I'd do a show. And she agreed to come on. Raven's been talking about me doing the show with mental health. So that was a twofer. And Tara and I, you know, we work in mental health, so we there. You know, we was already there. So I want to talk about mental health. So I want to start with, I wish I would have known your dog was there. I would have gave him a little spotlight. You know what I mean? I love the dog. Y'all know I love dogs.
Cute.
I love the dogs. Love them. There you go. Let's put them up there. Put them up there real quick. Put them up there real quick.
I love it.
Show the love.
So
Show the love.
cute.
Okay. See, this show ain't just about being all serious. We love the dogs, yo. But anyway, so look.
Wait a minute. What are you doing, Georgie? Calm down.
See, they got all excited now. I done got him pumped up. Now you want to be on TV. Doggy Dog World.
I love it.
So Lauren.
Mine is somewhere snoring.
Huh?
I said, meanwhile, mine is somewhere snoring.
Wow,
I can hear
that's
him,
funny.
but I can't see him.
And I got a cat in my lap.
Your cat is always with you. I do notice that. I noticed
And now
that.
he didn't have in my lap.
Yep. So we might have to do another show, y'all, about pets. The importance of pets.
I'm just saying.
Oh man. Ooh. So Lauren, I mean, Lauren. I keep saying Lauren. I think about Nicole.
Yes.
Tell us about the depression, real. Just tell us about the depression that you were speaking of on the last time we spoke.
Okay. So my son Aiden, he'll be 11 in January. He is disabled. So he was born with a rare genetic disorder. So he's extremely delayed. So he's 11. So we're probably looking at maybe like a 2-year old level. So he doesn't walk. Yeah, he doesn't talk. I have to feed and all that good stuff. So because we found out about Aiden's diagnosis so early, the depression came very early and it came very fast. So it's been years and years of depression, which at first I didn't know that I was going through any type of uh, mental issues or anything like that. I just kind of uh, put it off as me being tired, trying to learn his disability, trying to learn his therapies, trying to take him to all these different doctors and stuff like that. So one day on his visit to the doctor, his doctor said, "Are you getting yourself, evaluated, and how are you feeling?" And I kind of, gave him a rundown of how I was feeling. And he said, "I really think that you need to uh, check into your mental health and make sure that you're okay." So, of course, I put it off again because that's just what we do. We put everybody and everything before ourselves. So, but then it started to get worse. I started to become withdrawn. I started to cry all the time. I was at work at my desk crying and I couldn't figure out, what it was. And finally, I went to see my doctor and he said that, I really think that um, you're extremely depressed, but also B, you're grieving. And you don't even realize that you're grieving. So at first, I'm like, I'm grieving for what? I didn't lose a child. He said, "Oh, but you definitely lost a child. You lost what you thought you were going to have. You lost the son that you thought you were going to bring into this world, and he, would be a typical child." So I really didn't, I really didn't think about that. I really didn't, put two and two together. But it makes complete sense. It makes things a little bit more clearer for me now that I did lose a child in a way. I lost what I thought that I was going to have, and so for me, I've battled with it, like I said, for years, but I think over the years I've been able to control it better. Therapy is everything. It's my life. I cannot imagine not having a therapist. It's the most important thing to me. It's my way of my regimen of self-care. It's what I have to do in order for me to properly move on and take care of my son. I need to see my therapist. It
Right.
came to the point where it was like, "Okay, girl, do you need to really talk to me twice a week?" I'm like, "Yes, I need to talk to you twice a week. Just bear with me. I know I'll probably scale back, but yes, I need to talk to you twice a week." So, but my therapist is great. She's wonderful, but I really will say, I just started taking medication, but therapy has been around for me for a really, really, really long time. And I wish that more people would be open to the idea. I know that it's a whole stigma thing in our community and our culture that therapy is a no-no, or it's a sign of weakness and all those things that people have theories about. But uh, therapy has absolutely helped me on this journey
Right.
with my son.
Right. Right. Tara, I got a question for you, and I'm gonna ask after I hear from Raven. But I have a question for you, Raven. What was your Now I know you explained it on the time you was on the show. But what type of did you go through depression? Did you get therapy? What was your story behind mental health?
Oh yeah, I definitely went through depression, PTSD, like just to catch like Tara Nicole up. I came from a very like abusive relationship to where to save my life from somebody coming after me, trying to kill me, I ended up jumping out of like a 10-story window, 10 to 15, somewhere in there, or
Wow.
feet, I should say, not story, feet, excuse me. So I ended up breaking my back, fracturing my foot. Like I couldn't walk for a little bit. It was a lot. So just to recover from that PTSD, that trauma, that I was in a state to where I had to drop everything. I could no longer do makeup for a little while, hair for a little while. I'm back doing those things now, like doing everything I love now and then some. But in that time, oh yeah, I just felt like I hit a point to where trying to isolate myself couldn't help me. Trying to like talk about it with friends or family, it couldn't help me. I knew that I needed like professional help. I needed an unbiased opinion. I needed to really get on track and really get on my feet. And I've gone to therapy once before, but I was a kid, like behavioral issues, like junior high school situation. But as an adult, had never been. Didn't think I would need it. It's not that I looked upon it. I just thought that I didn't need it. But knowing what I know now, I'm so grateful for my therapist, and I'm so glad that I made that step for myself.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did because you know I'm sure you're a better person for it. You know, I see it in you. I see that you're a good person, Raven, and I'm glad you got it
Thank
because
you.
you seem like the type that'll spread joy among everybody. So I'm glad if you're okay, then there's a whole bunch of people in your inner circle that's okay. So
That's gonna be okay. Yes,
yes,
sir. Thank
absolutely,
you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Tara, let me ask you this. Um, I was thinking about when Nicole said about she said something about in terms of therapy, like let me ask you this, do you think women, black women, and mothers in particular, do you think they not get therapy because they put a lot of people, and this is what I've noticed. I've noticed like mothers, they put, and women put everybody before themselves. Like everybody is important, and they worry about themselves last. I know mothers who they won't give themselves a break because they're too busy making sure everybody's okay. Do you think that that's one of the reasons why some women don't get therapy? Maybe they don't have the time because they're too busy fixing everybody else's life and making sure everybody else is okay.
I think that most women are created to be nurturers. And in society, we are taught that that is our role, to make sure that people are taken care of, and that we don't show any sign of weakness, that you have to have a superpower, and that means I'm getting it all done. Um, and wearing the emblem of a single mom, or whatever, how you define that. And also, when we look at it, oftentimes when women who are naturally nurturers often feel guilty in order to when they make the choice to make themselves a priority. Like my motto is self-care is the best care. You cannot pour from an empty bucket, pitcher. If it's empty, zero from zero equals zero.
Right.
If you add it, if you subtract it, if you multiply it, if you divide it, it's going to be zero.
Right.
So recognizing, and particularly with like some of my moms, and particularly new moms, of like, you have to make sure that you are fed, especially if you like breastfeeding your child, so that you have the nutrients that you can, and nutrients that your child is going to need. Fill yourself up so that then you can give literally to your child. So, and recognizing that when you take on therapy, it's self-care. The same way you make sure that you're going to go work out, or you make sure that you're going to have breakfast. Mental health should be as important as any dental appointment that you would go to, any regular exam that you would have, that it's a priority, and particularly with the stressors that our society is currently going through.
Right.
Truth of the matter is that we are still in a worldwide pandemic. And oftentimes we act like, well, I can't wait till everything gets back to the way it was. There have been some pretty interesting things that have developed because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But what I say is that it's making it a priority. And oftentimes the reason why women do those things is because most of the women that they were raised by or were in their circle, how many of you ladies had people who you knew that were of color that went to therapy?
Right. Right. Wow. And
Silence.
right.
Really. And
Yeah, I
even
can
in
name
my
like one
circle.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually, if it was a person in the circle, it had to be real bad before they went,
Yeah.
or
Before
it
they
was to
got there.
save the marriage.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's the thing is my friend who referred me to my therapist, he lost his mother. So I felt like I didn't have a big enough issue. I wasn't
Issue.
mentally
Mm.
diagnosed with something. I didn't lose somebody close to me. I didn't go through certain things that, you hear about when people go to therapy usually.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something like like you said, like you got to take care of yourself first. Um, I think my wife said this. When you're on a plane with kids, and so they say if there's an emergency, put your mask on first, so then you
Yeah.
can
Yep.
put the mask on the kids because you're not going to be able to do anything if you don't put yours on first. You're going to lose
First.
oxygen, and so um, that's an approach that should be compared to mental health. Like you really need to take care of yourself first because you're not going to be any good to anybody else if you're not taking care of yourself. So.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
Let me ask y'all, what do y'all think? And anybody can answer this one, but what do you think? With so many like Simone Biles and so many different people taking breaks from the sports world, the professional sports world, athletes are getting mental help more often than what they used to. What do y'all think of that? Do you think? Do you think this sets the tone for more people to get mental health? Like it's a cool thing? Because
Yes.
all you gotta do is you got rappers who they'll come if a rapper came out on Instagram tonight and wore his hat like this. 50,000 kids the next day gonna be going to school getting hit by buses or stuff because they can't see where they walking. So they're a big influence on stuff that's cool. But do you
Right.
think these
Yes.
athletes coming out is something that's gonna make therapy cool if it's not already? I think we're doing a good job with making it seem like it's cool to get it and it's okay to get it. But do you think it's
Well, absolutely.
helpful?
I
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
absolutely do. I think it sets the
Even me
tone.
as
I
a
mean,
Mm-hmm.
it sets the
go
tone,
ahead,
I
Nicole.
think, for people, that are coming in to that world. And it sets the tone for young girls who aren't even athletes, who are just at home that are able to see somebody of a higher stature, somebody who has a bigger platform. They're able to get therapy. I'm at home watching them on TV. I can totally do it too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
so
that
yeah, I think that
influence.
it's huge.
Right.
Exactly. It's a huge influence. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And it's crazy because when I was young, and they probably still do this doesn't really change. The teacher asked a question and I would know the answer, but I ain't gonna be the first one to raise my hand because if I raise my hand, I get this answer wrong.
Wrong.
They're gonna be like, they're gonna think I'm a dummy. Or if we voting on something in class and you ain't sure everybody want that, so you're not gonna be the first one to raise your hand. But as soon as somebody raised their hand and answer, there go me and 15 other kids in there. So I'm like, yo, I'll follow your lead. So I think we're in a follow the lead, like it's a follow the leader philosophy. And I think that's a good thing in a positive way that, we see our athletes, we see people we look up to, getting mental health therapy and stuff like that. So I think it's a good thing. What do you think, Tara?
I think it's a wonderful thing. I think it's the best thing ever, not just because I'm a therapist, but also because this therapist has a therapist.
Right,
So I
right.
promise you. And it's interesting because a lot of times my clients are like, "What? You got a therapist?" Mm-hmm. So I know what it feels like to be on the other side where it's vulnerable and you are saying, look, I need help. The bottom has not dropped out, but I need someone to hold me accountable. I need someone to keep my secrets, even though it's not anything major, but it is major because having an objective perspective makes a difference.
Right.
And I think for
Absolutely.
anyone to make the choice, even when I look at things with my family, number one, I knew I wanted to be a therapist at 18. But even with my family, with different things that I saw that were going on, like I was the first one who was going to therapy. Then my sister started going to therapy. Then my other sister started going to therapy. You know, and I tell people, I was like, going to therapy shifts your whole life. It changes you,
Oh,
but it changes the
Mm-hmm.
dynamic that you have with other people. And sometimes they like it and sometimes they don't.
sometimes they don't.
It is brave to go and get help. It is, I feel like being vulnerable is a superpower. And
Mm.
that where it's a place where you can be safe. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the one thing when it comes to therapy. My therapist allows me to feel safe to talk about the good stuff and the bad stuff.
Right.
And the good part about it is that she can't tell my secrets. I
Right.
mean, that's the
Right.
best
Oh,
part. I pay somebody to keep my secrets,
Right.
that
Right.
and
is the best part.
I'm
Right.
a
That's the
mere
best part.
Right.
woman. Yes, like
And
I tell my clients, if I see you in public, you ain't got to say nothing to me. If you say hey to me, I'm like, hey, baby, because I don't know your name. But but and I'm like, if you act like you can't see all of this, guess what? Um, it's business as usual when we go back to the office.
right. Right. Raven, when you got therapy, how'd your family feel about it? Were they supportive of it, or was it more like, well, we don't really mess with it? How was that?
Well, the funny thing is, I
Mm.
thought that I was being supported. However, just like a month or so ago, my mom and I kind of had it out. I was staying under her roof for a little too long, trying to recoup and whatnot. So I'm in
Mm-hmm.
my new spot now. And I was all kinds of mental health case, nut job, I'm psychotic, brainwashed. And I just felt like it was coming from a place of whatever she is going through. That didn't even matter. I'm proud and I'm happy that I decided to make the move. And so at this point, like I don't really care because like girl, if you went to therapy, you would know what's tea and you would know
Yes.
how necessary it is.
Yes.
Even if you don't think you need it, you probably do. There's probably something going on underlying. I've been learning a lot about
Oh
childhood
gosh. Yes.
issues, and I felt like
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't beaten or abused as a child, I was like, well, I don't really have any childhood trauma. Oh yes, I do. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
my cat is like laying on my headphones, so she keeps pulling it out my ear.
That's all right. It's all right. Wow.
But yeah, I thought I was being supported, but to have that harsh ridicule, yeah, I guess I wasn't as supported as I had
Right.
believed at first.
It's funny when I got therapy, I found out stuff about me that I ain't know. Like
Oh yeah,
it's
they'll pull it out of you.
when it's
They will
different
But I
pull it
think
eyes,
out.
that's
yeah, when it's different eyes
but
looking
I
at it,
think
it's just
that's
like wow. Mm-hmm.
That
for
unbiased
as far
opinion,
as
like I
like
was saying before.
it is. And what Raven was saying about her mom, saying all those things, to me, I could be wrong, but when you tell your parents or people that are close to you that you're in therapy, especially if that parent or that aunt, that uncle, that grandmother, whatever, had any part in your upbringing, had any part in
Mm.
anything that pertains to you growing up and experiencing things, they automatically assume, oh, you're in therapy talking about me,
You
Wow.
talking
and they
bad
kind of
about me.
get
You talking about
about
me.
me
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to therapy for my son, right? I went to therapy thinking that my depression and anxiety was if PTSD was because I have a disabled child that I wasn't prepared for. But it ain't that.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely that's a part of it, but that's not. I went to
That's
therapy and
cool.
a whole bunch of other things just unfolded. Like, wait, I didn't even think that I was coming in to talk about my childhood and the fact that I moved a whole bunch of times throughout my childhood, and I'm living here and I'm living there and I'm living, and that explains why I have issues to this day with committing to certain things. Like all these little windows
Yeah.
and drawers were opening. So I don't
Hmm.
even really talk about Aiden anymore because I kind of got that down. I'm
Right.
good with
Right.
him. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
my child. He's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's really about me. You know what I mean? So when you express that to your family, I'm sure they can't help but to think, oh, well, I remember back in the day when I did X, Y, and Z. Is she in there telling the therapist that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Wow.
it
Yeah.
kind
Yep,
of.
I surely am. I
Yeah,
surely am.
yeah.
Yep, I
Wow.
sure am. I'm telling
I
it
sure
all. I'm
am.
It's
telling it
Mhm.
all.
That's wow.
Yep.
It's crazy, It's like using, them charms with blow pops we used to have. We went the gum was inside. We go to therapy just to get that outside piece of candy, but after we finish,
Yep.
we will. Oh, there's gum in here. We going deeper.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I
Oh,
see what's wrong. Okay, so you thinking, yo, I know what's wrong with me. It's the outside of the charms, blow pop, the candy. But then when you start licking on that and getting to the middle, boom, here the gum, there the gum.
Boom.
So this
Yep.
is what it
Yep.
was. So I was like, okay. Let me ask you this, Tara. 'Cause
Yeah.
this is pertaining to this. Nicole was like she thought it was her son Aiden, but it was something else. The World Health Organization says that the most common diagnosis in women is depression. Do you agree with that? Would you say that's accurate? Based on your experience, or people you've seen, and
You know what? This is what I would say. It may look like depression, but it could be a combination of things.
mm-hmm.
When we start recognizing and opening those windows and those drawers, oftentimes when you're in therapy, you're just having a conversation, and the therapist will give you a label to identify what you've experienced. And when you had that, you're like, oh, like it was a total different set of glasses to see. It's like something was a little blurry. You put on the glasses, and I can see better. Oh, that's what that was. And then it allows you to link other things that's happened. And what I say is that I think the diagnosis of depression is probably very common. However, there is a such thing called adjustment disorder. Now, adjustment disorder means that you have had a major crisis that has occurred. That could be a loss of a job. It could be experiencing a death. Because, it takes time to be able to tolerate the sudden changes that might have come in your life. It could be a loss of a friendship. It could be adding on something, because you have good stress and you have bad stress. But in that process, you are learning to adjust. And anything that is new requires you to kind of like recalibrate and try to get it together. So what I say with anything is that the truth of the matter is that it could be the person's attempt at adjusting to a major life change. For instance, it's the holidays. When we look at how much turkeys cost last year versus this year, it's different. When we look at the adjustment of COVID and going into the grocery store for the very first time in my life, and I'm seeing no toilet tissue, I'm seeing like, wait a minute, is this a bad movie that I'm living in the grocery store?
Right.
So when I tell you about those things, and I think the other part about it is that even with COVID, and I'm saying COVID-19 because, we are 2 years deep into this thing. And oftentimes the sense is that, is it over yet? And we've been holding our breath like it's going to be over. At some point, you have to accept where you are and then make a plan of, okay, I can't control COVID. There's some things that I can't control. But what I do have control over is myself. So let me go back to, because I wanted to be emphasized that we are still in a worldwide pandemic.
Absolutely.
And trying to make sense of something that does not make sense.
Right.
So with that being said, yes, there will be a major increase in the level of depression. But I also think that depression looks differently in men, and women are more prone to say, oftentimes for men, what man says, well, I sit at my desk and I want to cry all the time. What dude says that? His homeboys is going to knock him upside the head and, dude, shake it off. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So I think for women, it's more normalized for us to say, all of a sudden I felt empty on the inside. I just, the things that I used to enjoy, I don't enjoy them anymore. I feel like I'm a little snappy and a little bit more on edge than what I used to be. Everything seems to get on my last nerve, and I don't know how many more last nerves I had. So when we look at socially, I think for men, it's more appropriate and acceptable for them to express it in anger, for them to drink it so that they are numb. So, and then when you drink, you are depressed, but you are also taking another depressant.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, or they will smoke it away in order to numb and kind of like, slow down the racing thoughts that might be happening. So, what I say is that women are more in tune to their feelings and emotions as nurturers. However, it's going to look different in a Black woman than what it would in a Caucasian woman.
Wow.
Because we have different ways of what it looks like. So my terminology looks different. And, and then when you have an adolescent versus an adult, it's going to look different. And so I think it's important to recognize. So really, when we look at the operational definition of depression, maybe we need to say, well, it may look like this in men versus it looks like this in women.
Right.
Because, for instance, Raven looks amazing. And Nicole, you look good too, girl. So, but you would not think that these women have been through these challenges.
Oh, yeah.
Raven looked like she just got off the runway. Nicole looked like, here go. I seen my therapist one time this week, not 2 times. But, because she knew what she needed. And when you look at what it like, so when we look at the picture of depression, whose face is the face of depression?
Right.
Right.
And so that's the real question that you have to ask is that, and then when we look at the idea of depression, when we look at, okay, most of the time with men, they're going to kill themselves. So is it that the Black men are being murdered, or is it because of the police, or is it because they like, look, I can't do no more time in jail?
Right.
And so they would make a move. Now, I'm not justifying any of these things, but what I'm saying is that men, when they make a choice in order to do something, it's final. Women do ask for help sometimes.
Wow.
So I think it means you've got to change the perspective that you come from in order to really be able to get to the root of the matter. I think those are facts, but I don't think that it is a full reality when we look at what our panel looks like. Because no one would see us going down the highway or in our cars and think, oh, she got a therapist. And we are proud of the fact that we have a therapist and that it has helped to make us better and make us, so we are really making the choice to change the trajectory of our family.
Right.
Because we don't have to function in a dysfunction that we were once taught. Because you can do better when you learn better.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Wow. Yep.
That's right.
You got to be the change you wish to see.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And you mentioned dysfunction, right? So I'm the youngest of 8, and growing up, we were all in the house. If Mom Dukes wasn't okay, it wasn't gonna be good for us. Not that she, snapped on anything, but little small things. Mom, can I get some cereal? No, you don't eat that. But when she listened to music and stuff, and she, cleaning up on the Saturday, listening to music, ask her anything, she'll say, yeah, that's when you had to hit her, when she was in that music mood, whatever. But if she wasn't right in terms of, in one of her moods, where she really wasn't, Mom was sweet, but when she got in one of those moods where she wouldn't want to be bothered, it affected all of us. So with that said, do you think, let's just say a mom or a woman, period, who has a significant other or family, kids or whatever, do you think it affects the family a lot, or does it affect it a little bit? How much have any of you had that issue? The issues that you were having, did it affect others around you? You know what I mean?
I think I think for me it affected my daughter. She's 20 now, but
Mhm.
so she's been on this journey with me since she was 10. So she has seen all the different transitions, especially, with her brother and everything like that. But I think as I say we kind of have been growing together. But she's going into womanhood and stuff like that. And she sees me battling with anxiety and depression. She had a touch of it, herself. And it's funny because she went through something really traumatic her senior year in high school. Very, very traumatic.
Mm.
And the first thing I said was, "Oh, we're going to see a therapist." It was no question. I didn't want it to be swept under the rug. I didn't want it to be where, I regretted it later. I knew what therapy could do for her. You know what I mean? I knew that I could only be her mother. I couldn't
Mm.
be her therapist. And so now it's, she went through therapy. She graduated out of therapy, if you will. She's better. But I feel like because I was so proactive with therapy for myself, when she saw me going down, a spiral and not feeling well and depressed, she noticed and was like, "Mommy, like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?" And I said, "I'm going to therapy." So now when it came time for her and something happened with her, it was easy for her to just be like, "Okay, well, it helped my mother. I saw what she was going through prior. She went to therapy and she's doing better. So, I'm willing to try it." And luckily it
Mm-hmm.
worked for her. But yeah, I think that it definitely affects the people around you. Who knows you better than your close loved ones? They can tell when,
Right. Right.
things, when you're not right. So I absolutely believe that it does have an effect.
Right. What about you, Raven? What about, friends that you hung with? Did they see a change in you that they addressed or didn't like or anything like that?
I would say, I guess in a way, it didn't necessarily take a toll on my friendships. It has now. I can tell you more that it has taken a toll now, and that's only because I'm in a space to where I really know where I want, and I really want to get rid of things that aren't serving me, people that were not on the same
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
wavelength.
Yes, girl.
Amen.
Allow
Amen.
me
Yes.
to
Mm-hmm.
kind of cut that
Yep.
stuff out.
Yes,
But
indeed.
Yes.
before,
I
it's
know
like
that's
if you're
right.
not right with yourself, I don't. You know how it's like sometimes you're just scrolling through Facebook and you could be seeing family pictures and engagements and fun announcements, and then you have that one, oh,
Yep.
my job sucks, this sucks, I hate life, and
Yes.
that just trauma
Yes.
dump, trauma
Always
dump,
one
trauma
of
dump.
them. Right.
You gotta vent, you gotta have an outlet, but I don't feel like you should be trauma dumping on everybody else's experience. And I feel like you need to have that one person who can really guide you. And sometimes your friends don't always have your best interest in the way that you think, and they don't always have that professional advice
Mm,
that you need. A lot
Mm.
of friends will be yes men. A lot of friends got their own stuff and they haven't been to therapy. They don't address their own issues. So how are they gonna be able to help you?
Right.
ooh,
Right.
that's right.
So
That's
at this
right.
point,
Hmm.
I
it's
agree.
like you just need that healthy professional outlet, and I feel like prioritizing that has led me to where I am now, to where it's like, yes, it is affecting relationships, but these are relationships that they have just hit an end. We've
Yes.
been friends, for X amount of time, and
Hmm.
sometimes you just end up going your own separate ways. And these are
Separate
times where I'd
ways.
be,
That's right.
oh, I'm
Yep.
losing my friend, I'm losing this and that, and now it's like, hey, you gotta just trust in the divine and where you being guided and where they're being guided.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this
Yes,
point,
yeah,
Yep.
I'm so
Yep.
proud of you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
that is
thank you.
Uh
I'm
huh.
proud.
so.
I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us because you lose a
y-
lot
Yes.
of people on this journey. Oh, you lose a
You
Yes.
do,
lot
Yes.
of people.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
because
And
you
you
start to be woke.
realize,
When you
yeah,
start to get
not only
woke.
woke, you healthier. You
yeah.
are healthier,
Yes.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you recognize.
Yes.
Like for me, yeah, I'm a full time therapist. So if I'm talking to people, I'm not trying to do no therapy. I want
Right.
to be
Yep.
with sister girl. I'm like, there
Right.
is a professional for that, and I ain't the one. And
Yes.
when I look at my friendships, I desire friendships that give to me. If you are always
Yes.
subtracting, then you need to slide somewhere else because I only want people who are going to
Yep.
add to me and
Yes.
my
Yes.
well-being.
Yes,
Yeah.
And
ma'am.
so you
Oh my
you learn
Yes,
gosh.
to
ma'am.
guard yourself, you establish boundaries, and you're like, this is not when people show you who they are. That is who they are.
That's who they
There's
are.
exactly, and you could give them another chance. We grown here.
Right.
Anything that anybody
Exactly.
wants to do, they can do. And then when
Mhm.
you don't want to do it, and you're used to work,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
it is okay. No is a full sentence.
Mm.
My
And that's the
schedule,
answer.
you know, exactly.
That's the answer, and that's the explanation. No.
Right.
That's it.
Or is
No.
time has not been allocated for that. That's
Right.
not on my schedule.
Right.
Oh, I do not foresee that in my future.
It's not
I
in my line
cannot
of
co-sign
vision.
on that.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yes, that is not a part of my plans on today,
Yes.
I
nor
love
on
it. I
tomorrow.
love it.
And
Yes.
Thank you, but no thank you.
Period. Yes.
Yo, I'll tell you, losing friends is like losing weight. Sometimes you got to lose some to feel better and be better.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Yes.
Sometimes you don't be trying to gain them pounds back.
saying? Exactly. Like, look,
That's right.
I when I went to college, you know, my mindset going to college was still in that street mode, man. Like I was in that street mode in college, and it's just like when I came back. I think it was not the first time I came back, maybe like the third or fourth time I came home from college. I started seeing and Nicole, you know, like I roll on Springfield Avenue and just, you know, see people was hanging out there, and I'm just like, yo, this ain't for me no more. Like I don't get nothing out of it anymore. Besides talking sports, because I'll be up on that corner like talking sports and stuff, and we all just chilling. But then I realized that, you know, it's just not. I love them to death. Everybody I grew up with, I love them to death. Even the people that I got issues with sometimes, but I love them to death. It's just like brother and sister stuff, you know? We have our arguments and stuff like that, but I'm learning that, you know, and I learned then that sometimes to love somebody, you got to love them from a distance, like, because it's for your own self,
right.
you know? And when
right.
and when you forgive people, you really doing it for yourself, because it's a lot of
Yes.
energy to be mad at somebody. It takes up a whole lot of energy. It's the tension that when you're around them, it's you're thinking about it. Whereas opposed to if you weren't angry with them, you're just having a good time. But you're so consumed about, you better not say nothing to me. I ain't saying nothing to them. And you just forget about why you at an event or whatever because they're there. So, you know, I think it's important to, you know, you for your own mental health, like you got to let people go. And if they don't understand that, then they probably was just never your friend or shouldn't have been that close enough to your circle to even get that close. You know what I'm saying?
And I
you know,
think
you
it's
come
also,
across.
I think
Oh,
it's a
sorry.
part of learning. No, you're fine, Raven. But I think it's a part of learning to. There's some relationships that you will untie. So it doesn't mean that you don't relate to each other, but your relating changes. There's some relationships that need to be severed. It's not healthy for you, and whether they understand it or not, you're going to be better off just because of it.
Right.
And then there's some that are going to be seasonal, and allowing them to be like, sometimes the season can be, it doesn't, typically a season is 90 days, but it could be longer than that. And then there's some relationships that are just like, this is my church relationship, this is my book club, this is walking around the track. You know, people have some designated roles that they play, but some people are not meant to be fully encompassed into your inner circle to have so much impact on you that you're not able to function without them.
Right. Right.
So I think those is like giving it different views, because some of them you just untie it. You know, you can still exist. You still got two strings. You're fine. Some need to be just totally severed, and allowing yourself to be in that space and to be okay with it. And sometimes it means being lonely, but I would, well, not necessarily lonely. I would prefer to be alone, meaning that I am all one, than to be with somebody and still feel empty. How do you feel when you walk away from that engagement? Do you feel like you have just been fully depleted, or do you feel like, oh my gosh, I so enjoyed that time with that person? Because you know, you have some relationships where you haven't seen them in a long time. It was like y'all picked up yesterday, where you like, you just picked up like you saw each other yesterday. Yeah. and they add it to you, and it's like, yeah, that was good. But you know that's not gonna be every day. It's a season. Good.
Right.
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 Enjoyed it, and you keep it like you savor that
Mm-hmm.
moment, and then you keep it moving. So I think it's allowing it to be what it is. If it's not more,
Yeah.
okay. If
Right.
you
Okay.
know that that
That's
person
fine.
doesn't have what it takes, right? And it's not a judgment call. It just means that for this time in my life, in this season, I don't have energy for that, or I don't have the emotional stamina
Right.
to try to heal and fix everybody else's stuff because
Right.
I'm working on my stuff.
Right. And it's
Mm-hmm.
and this what we're talking about now. There's I don't even know. I don't think there's not a diagnosis for this. This is just about your mental health, your well being. This ain't about
Being
you don't need a diagnosis to go through what we're talking about. This is just everyday
oh
life.
no.
You want a diagnosis?
Life. It's
It's life.
everyday life. Yeah.
Life. So
Yep.
Mhm.
It's
this is
life.
what life is, and
Yep.
we
Yep.
gotta move all of that stuff out the way. All that stuff that holds us back, that gets us in our way. One time, let me tell you real quick because I'm gonna start wrapping it up. I'm gonna tell you real quick. I used to be that, I worked on it real bad. Like when I was younger, I used to be like, not too long ago, but used to be that negative person and didn't really know I was being that negative. You know, I say stuff and it'd be negative. I don't really mean it to be negative, but it was just negative. And one time I came into work and I had just the right person to talk to me. You know why? Because I'll say something, whatever I said negative, they came back with something positive. So I was like, I would have said something like, man, I can't stand coming here every day. I'm so tired of coming here every day. The negative person would be like, yeah, I know, I can't stand it. Such and such came here and told me and then it was that person that I talked to, he would be like, well, you know what? I know you don't like coming here, but here's the great thing. You got an opportunity to make some money. This money's going to take care of your family. Everything I came at this person with, they came back with something positive, and I'm just like, you know what? You're the one I need to talk to. The other ones, I don't even bother. I don't even bother saying if there's something wrong. No, I need to find this person
Not them.
because
Yeah.
because
You don't
all
need
you
to tell
gonna do
them.
is you just gonna
You're
add
adding to it.
exactly gasoline to the fire, man. I'm trying to put this
Yeah.
fire out, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking for that fire
Mhm.
extinguisher.
Yep.
You a gas can, yo. So
Yep.
it's just crazy, man. Like this is just mental health. Period, man. We got to be right. You know.
And this is
Um.
when we use the word worried well.
Mhm.
We are well individuals. It doesn't mean even you're a person who's like, you don't have to be psychotic to get help.
Right.
It's called you're
Yeah.
worried well. You're healthy to know, look, I need some help. I'm not
Yeah.
functioning the way I want to function. And that means that you are a healthy person and your purpose for coming to therapy is to be better.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
and that's why we have the term of worried well. The person is well. They want to come to therapy. They desire to be better. They want to see results. They know it, like you have a focus. Like you go to a personal trainer in order to help you learn how to
Right.
lift weights.
Yeah.
You go
Yeah.
to a nutritionist to help you with the right food to
Mhm.
eat. And that, so it's not that it's a mental health thing, which it's self-care. It's
Right.
Yeah.
self-care that's focused
Yeah.
on mental health caring and habits that help you to have a better life
Right.
because you are the worried well. You are well, you can function, but you recognize that there's I just need a safe space to vent and receive direction. And not even
Yes.
direction, a perspective
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
is not like the environment that I'm in.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Um. I'm
With
just
that,
going. I'm just going to wrap it up. I'm gonna let you ladies get a final say before I wrap it up. I'm gonna start with you, Raven. You just get a final word in.
I would just say, like, for anybody who's out there listening, just do it for you. This is literally the best decision I have ever made. I'm such a worrisome, nervous person, anxious about everything. I'm a what if this, what if. And I think from therapy, I've learned that you can control any and everything besides yourself
mm,
and the moves that you make. And you're going to make healthier moves when your mental is just good. When your mental is good, your physical is good, it's going to reflect on the people around you, the people you surround yourself with, the choices you make. So I say like don't be so afraid of it, and nobody's there to judge you. Just do it.
Right, right. Tara?
What I can say is that being brave is not for everybody.
Mm,
That's it. Be brave.
right, right,
Even if you're scared, do it scared.
right.
And it's not really about just the mental health stuff. I love the fact that we're able to use that word. But can we say it's self-care?
Right.
Self-care is the best care
Yeah.
Right.
because it has the ability to change every area of your life.
Right.
Confidence
Yes.
looks
Hmm.
good on anybody.
Amen to that. Nicole?
Yeah, piggybacking both off of what they both said, I feel like it's a self-care move. It's a self-care vibe, whatever you want to call it. It has to it You have to look at it and take it in as that. Um, I feel like for our younger generation, um, who seem to be struggling more, people like my daughter's age and stuff like that, I really feel like hopefully this is a platform for people to see, for the younger generation to see that, try to get into those therapy sessions now, try to get to talk to somebody now. That way, you can you can already kind of have the ball rolling. You can already have a relationship with somebody. You may not have to see a therapist every week like me, but if you already know that you have that in play for when things do happen, you have somebody to call, you have somebody to go to. I think that's important to kind of establish that, at a younger age, just
Mm-hmm.
because it's, and to get that feeling of what seeing a therapist is like. I think the younger generation is a little afraid of it, but just from speaking from personal experience, like I said with my daughter, I feel like it worked wonders for her. And now she knows at 17 she went to see a therapist, but if she's 25 and she's really struggling again, she's already laid the foundation. She knows what having a therapist is like. She knows what going to therapy is going to do for her. So I just feel like for the younger generation to try to, cross over that bridge and try to find a therapist or somebody that you really can confide in, go into therapy.
Yeah, yeah. It was
I wish
real
I
Great
would
talk.
have
point.
did that,
Yeah,
but
real talk. Real talk.
Hmm.
I'm gonna leave
yeah.
you guys. Leave not you guys. Y'all stay on. I'm gonna leave everybody else with my last word, and it's pretty much what everybody said. The self care thing is real important to me. Um, for the younger kids, if you want to post something on Instagram, you make a choice to pick up your phone and post it. If you want to get on the internet, you make a choice to turn on the computer and get on the internet. If you got a
Hmm.
headache, you take medicine. You go to your cabinet and take medicine. If
Right.
you don't have medicine, you'll drive to the store and get it. If you if you decide that you want to you break your arm, you're going to go to the doctor and get a cast. If you're sick and you got the flu, you're going to take medicine to get rid of the flu, or you're going to go make the choice to go to the doctor. If you have some self-care needs, this is no different. So if you have self-care needs, react the same way you would with that headache, with you wanting to go on the internet, with everything you do, all those choices you make to do something that you decide to do it, it's the same thing. It's no different. So self-care is very important. Make sure you take care of yourself, man, and just know that people love you. Even people you may not think love you, you'll have support. You contact somebody, a 24-hour support network or something like that, and you'll have that support. So just know that you're not alone. Black women are the strongest women on earth, and they go through a lot. They take a lot. They're the most disrespected human being on this earth, I think. And that shouldn't be. And as a black woman and woman, period, um, they're nurturers, and they put a lot of people before themselves. So let's just make sure they're taking care of themselves, so they can take care of other people. That's going to be it for Speak Now, Hold Your Peace. I do appreciate everybody tuning in. Ladies, stay on. Everybody else, love you much. Be safe. Happy Thanksgiving. Eat all you want. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Eat what you want. And not everybody. I mean, you got to, some small portions, but eat what you want, a little bit at a time. All right? So y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Right. And, tune in next week. Love y'all very much. Everybody stay on. Love y'all, man.
Thank you for watching the Speak Now Hold Your Peace live broadcast. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and join us on the Speak Now Hold Your Peace Facebook group.